What is going on, everyone? It has been a minute since my last video, but here we are. It is a Q&A today. I asked a Q&A on my Instagram and to some of my clients a couple weeks ago, which I was meant to get to, but then ended up traveling and doing a few other things in between. But nonetheless, here we are. It is going to be the return of the YouTube. The push to open bodybuilding has commenced. I don't think I will be able to do classic again next year when I do decide to prep again, but regardless, here we are. Q&A time for now. So let's get into the questiones. First question was bring back the prep videos and the bodybuilding. Well, I'm not going to be in prep for a little bit, but I will be bringing back the YouTube videos for some probably a lot of the off season. I really want to start documenting all of that kind of stuff a little bit more, because this will be my first time, really pushing an off season, and whether that's food, drugs, training, all that kind of stuff. It is going to be the first time where I am pushing it to a little bit higher of a degree. And I think over the last couple of years, I have really improved as a bodybuilder in terms of kind of just sticking to the plan, following the diet, all that kind of stuff. Because in the past, I really was not that great. It's probably been like the last 2 years, 2.5 years where I've really dialed everything in and, become much, much more of a full-time bodybuilder, you could say, in terms of my mindset and, my ethos around nutrition and training and all that kind of stuff, and PEDs and, educating myself more on everything. But before that, I think I was, kind of just enjoying it, which I still enjoy it now, but I really wasn't putting all that much stress on myself to kind of maximize absolutely everything like I am now. So I'm pretty fucking keen for this off season and getting back some of those vlog style kind of content and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you guys are keen for that, because I am keen on doing all that. But yeah, that was question number 1 from my boy Seth. And then we go to question number 2 from one of my clients, Gordon. Favorite bodybuilder and trainer. My favorite bodybuilder. That's tough, to be completely honest. My favorite physique of all time. Fuck. I'm a big fan of Dorian. I feel maybe because that is closer to, you always end up picking a physique that is relatively similar to you, whether that's because of their race or certain features or whatever. But I'm a big fan of Dorian. My favorite looking physique ever has really got to be, I feel like Flex Wheeler is a cop-out answer, but honestly, that motherfucker is an absolute freak. Perfect symmetry, great conditioning, especially for back then. Insertions were crazy proportions. It's probably my favorite aesthetically pleasing physique. But Dorian Yates, Jay Cutler, I like those bodybuilders more so for their mindset and their kind of ethos behind training and all that kind of stuff. Two very different bodybuilders, being Dorian Yates and Jay Cutler. They didn't train the same, they didn't really diet the same, they didn't really do anything really the same, but both still some of the best in the world to ever freaking do it. Question from my boy Luke. Favorite subs from the US? I'm a big fan of Rise as a company. Their protein is amazing. I'm fucking always sipping on their hydration drink at the moment. I have this all the time with my first meal before I go train. I'm a big fan. Axe and Sledge, another fantastic company by Seth Ferrosi, who's an insane bodybuilder. And I find a lot of the time the companies that are owned by bodybuilders who are serious bodybuilders usually tend to have the best formulated ingredients, best kind of flavor panels and all that kind of stuff. So they're probably my top 2 companies. I've never tried Hostile, but I've heard great things about Hostile from obviously Fuad Abiad, who again was a fucking great bodybuilder in his time. There's a lot of subs that I haven't tried. from the US. But actually, I am a huge fan of the Elevate cream of rice because we don't really have that in Australia. And if we do, it's like fucking 4 times the price to buy it. And I don't know about you, I don't really want to spend $40 on a bag of rice. So that is probably my favorite supplement from the US, to be fair. It's really fucking good. Alrighty, next question. Explain your current mindset, like what's going on in there. Well, earlier in the year, I really had a rough start to the year. I was initially planning on doing season A, which is just gone like 2 weeks ago. But I was not there mentally, to be completely fair. I went through a bit of a depressive episode, I guess you could say. I kind of fell out of absolutely everything. I was off my diet, off my training, no PEDs, nothing. I kind of just, I kind of spiraled out of control, to be completely fair. It was not a good time. I had some bad news, from some of my family members who had some health complications, and it really just kind of made me spiral, to be completely fair. But since probably beginning of March, I really just kind of said, fuck this, I need to get back on my shit. The only way out of this bullshit is to go through the bullshit. So yeah, the obstacle is the way, as Mr. Ryan Holiday would say. I highly recommend that book if you haven't read it. If you're ever going through something, go through the motherfucker, because that is how that's how you truly get through something. Anyway, my mindset right now is I am just excited to progress in all aspects. My business, level up my coaching, improve the service that I provide. I feel like I really have done that in the last couple of months as well. In terms of bodybuilding, I'm ready to fucking grow and really reach some new levels, to be completely honest. I feel pretty dialed in, and I'm very, very excited to see the next 12 months unfold. I have also a massive life change, to be completely fair, is I completely stopped smoking weed. I was a huge pothead for the last fucking 5 years. I was a daily smoker, and not even just daily, not like just at night time. I would smoke all day from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. Like there was periods of time where I would like wake up at like 3 in the morning and be like, oh, I can't get back to sleep. And I smoke fucking cones at like 3 in the morning to go back to bed. That is a problem. Yeah, so that is something that I really struggled with in the past to kind of put down. And I always knew that smoking was kind of holding me back in some regards. But in saying that, last year towards the end of last year when I was going through my prep and all that kind of stuff, I had my best months in business. I competed in America. I came top 3 at nationals. I did all of that while I was a fucking full-blown stoner. So it was very hard for me mentally to get away from that, if that makes sense, because I was like, well, why do I need to stop? I'm fucking succeeding. I'm doing everything. I'm doing good. I don't need to stop. But I think more so from a mental aspect and just having that clarity of mind and actually feeling good about myself on a daily basis is definitely improved. And yeah, it's to give some context, I was probably going through like an ounce of weed every 2 weeks, straight cones out of a bong by myself. That's a lot of weed if you are not aware. So stopping that has been a huge shift for me. And I have a new girlfriend, which has also been a massive help and a massive eye-opener for my life since she's kind of come back into it. And I say come back because, 2 years ago, we had a thing for a little bit, didn't end up working out. We went our separate ways. and then kind of just rekindled everything the last couple months, and it has been insane. Like, not even just like the honeymoon phase lust kind of bullshit that you kind of feel with a lot of relationships. It just feels right in a lot of aspects. And I know I'm getting a little bit deep and probably sharing a bit too much personal information right now, but this is my YouTube. I'll fucking say whatever I want, so enjoy. Yeah, her coming back into my life has been a huge, huge help. Without her really even trying, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm wanting to be a better person for her, not necessarily because she's making me for whatever reason or anything like that. I think just having, I've never been somebody that is like certain on my choices when it comes to partners in the past. You know, I've always been like on the fence. I'm like, oh, am I making the right call here? Like, should I be doing this? Is this the right thing to do? And I feel like I know that this is the right thing to do. And it has been a crazy couple months, that's for sure. Like, we've definitely progressed pretty fast in the relationship, but it doesn't feel like adrenaline, it doesn't feel like rushing or anything like that. It just feels like it was kind of meant to happen that way, which I'm not somebody that like fully used to really believe in that, like, if it's meant to be, it'll be, or fucking whatever. But like, I am getting proven wrong all the fucking time. So I really could not be fucking happier, and I am extremely grateful for her and for the just her company, and she is fucking great. Anyway, enough fucking personal blabbering bullshit. Anyway, next question from my man Tate. What's the best and worst advice you have received within the bodybuilding industry? I'll go from like a bodybuilding as a sports perspective and bodybuilding as a coaching perspective. As a bodybuilding as a sports perspective, I would say eat big to get big is complete bullshit. And, you know, obviously taking more drugs is going to equal more progress. It does not. You know, making sure your body is completely and utterly efficient is the best way to do that. Be healthy, you know, supporting your mitochondria, making sure your digestion is on point, making sure your sleep is on point, making sure all of those basic things are absolutely freaking nailed. That is how you make progress in bodybuilding. And again, it is just time. You cannot rush the process of bodybuilding. It is really a marathon, not a fucking sprint. And the best advice I got probably was from my coach, Tom, shout out Tom, was, you know, to be a full-time bodybuilder, not be a part-timer. You know, like, I say this a lot to my clients now. It's like, if you really want the results that you say you do, fucking act like it. You know, you're never going to get to where you want to go by having one foot in, one foot out. It is always going to be a journey along the way, and you have to be willing to sacrifice and make those choices to make the progress that you want to make ultimately. So that's probably from the sport aspect side of it. And then from the business coaching aspect side of it, the worst advice I got was don't make relationships with your clients. Because I fucking love every single one of my clients. I am stoked that they feel comfortable enough to have conversations with me and tell me lots of things and personal issues that they're facing, because I have been through a bunch of shit too. So I am always very, very open with my clients and very, very transparent with my experience. And I train with some of my clients every now and then. I have, long conversations with a lot of them. And I would not change that for the world. I am very, very big believer in, creating that kind of fucking really good quality service that you're not going to get from a lot of coaches, to be completely honest. And having their best interest at heart all the time, I think is that's my biggest piece of advice there. And that was coming from, the worst advice I was given was just to not make relationships with them. And then the best is just provide a good fucking service. Provide a good fucking service and the clients will come. That is probably the best advice I can give on the coaching side of things. Yeah, those were some of the questions. Let me just get up some of the other ones. What is your favorite split? Well, my favorite training split would be push, pull, legs, upper, lower. I'm a big fan of that. You're definitely going to get plenty of volume across the week. You're hitting all the frequency, hitting all your muscles at least twice a week. Yeah, that is my favorite split. Nice and easy one there. A little rapid fire question for you. Question from another one of my clients, Bailey. What do bodybuilder couples do for date night, especially if one is in prep and the other is not? How do you work around that? Do you still go out with the other person and just bring meal prep? Or do you both just have to deal with it? Well, something that you can do, not necessarily for a date night, because date nights are tricky in prep for sure, but going out for coffees, going out for walks, doing things that don't revolve around food. You don't need to be eating to have a good time with your partner. And if you do, you've got something to work on there. But in specifics, date nights, going to the movies, taking your meal prep, going to have picnics, taking your meal prep. Like if you're in prep, you need to just eat your food and fucking do what you got to do. Doesn't mean that you can't do the things that you want to do with your partner. You just can't eat fucking shit food. Yeah, like that is pretty much it. And if you have a scheduled refeed or an off-plan meal or something like that from your coach, fucking include your partner. Like that's as simple as it gets, really. But again, it is more so just about learning how to spend quality time with somebody without having to fucking eat food to do that. Is it hard? Yes. Does it take time to get better at it? Yes. But that is kind of just the whole process of bodybuilding in general. All right, then I'll get some other questions up that I had from my clients in the group chat. Okay, there's one of them here. Yeah. One of my clients, Benson, asked about having a good relationship with food and how it is key to kind of have a good relationship with food in an off season or a diet phase. So very similar to what I was just touching on before in terms of the date nights and stuff with your clients. Having a good relationship with food is so important. A lot of people kind of stigmatize that, and I remember there was a coach on Instagram who put up a post like, if you binge eat or if you can't handle not eating for fucking X amount of period of time, you're never going to be a good bodybuilder. Brother, I struggled massively with binge eating and a lot of other food eating disorders for a long time. And learning how to cope with your emotions, I think, is the biggest thing. Because a lot of the time people just eat eating bad food especially, to kind of just cope with emotions, which is not going to fucking get you anywhere. You need to learn how to regulate your emotions as a human being, not just kind of stuff your face with bullshit, because that is never going to help. And obviously kind of just realizing that the binge restrict cycle is exactly that. If you restrict yourself too hard in an off season or in a diet phase or anything like that, the chances of you binging and wanting to absolutely just cheat on your diet are astronomically higher. So learning that you can actually go out, enjoy a meal with your friends and family, maybe not in a prep scenario because that is just prep, but in an off season, fucking absolutely you can. You just need to be smart with your food choices. It really isn't as hard as people say it is. I spend a lot of time with pro athletes and good bodybuilders, and that is the biggest fucking key to longevity in this sport, is that balance. Because if you don't have that balance and you just restrict yourself all the fucking time, 1, you're gonna be miserable as fuck. 2, you're gonna be miserable as fuck to hang around. And 3, you just don't need to do that. Like, it's huge. Cardio. What is my favorite form of cardio? And obviously a lot of people are not doing cardio, they're just trying to get steps in. Another one from one of my clients, Adrian. So I would say my favorite form of cardio is either the bike or the elliptical, just because I find it is nowhere near as high impact as something like the Stairmaster or really anything running, that kind of shit. Like, cardio is extremely important, not just for losing body fat, but overall heart health, especially if you are a bodybuilder. Your heart is the most important fucking organ in your entire body. If that shit shuts down on you, you're cooked. Like, you're fucking cooked. And honestly, just having a better cardiovascular system leads to many other health benefits, not just losing body fat and being lighter, but your heart becomes more efficient at pumping blood around your body. You utilize nutrients a whole lot better in your body because you are exercising more. What else? Like, just the glucose partitioning, pretty much what I just touched on there. Like, because you are more efficient at using those carbohydrates, you will look better and feel better, and you will train better, you will function better. And not only that, but doing cardio, taking certain vitamins, things like that, will help a lot with your blood pressure, which is, again, a huge contributing factor to death in bodybuilding. So that's a massive thing. Another question: what is your opinion on the healthy protein bars and snack bars? I think they are garbage for the most part. There is a couple brands that I could recommend to some people, but if you are looking to optimize results, they're really not that good for you. They're horrible for your gut. You know, your digestion is going to be affected. You're going to be gassy as fuck. I remember one time I was getting one of these fucking tattoos done. I had no meal prep for the day, so I bought 5 protein bars. I bought 5 protein bars to eat through that tattoo session, and my guts were in shambles. And I mean shambles. I was holding back the most diabolical farts known to man. I remember when we went for our lunch break, I was like, thank fuck. I went to the toilet straight away and let out the most monstrous fucking fart I've ever let out in my entire life. Anyway, just a little story for you there. There's another couple here. What is your opinion on the current trend of overusing PEDs and peptides rather than focusing on training and food? This is something that I touch on a lot with my clients, especially new clients who think that the magic pill is in a fucking vial. It's not. The magic pill is consistency with your diet, consistency with the basics, getting your sleep in, doing your cardio, getting your steps in, following your diet. That is what gets you results, and training fucking hard with intention. Not just training hard, but training with intent. Like, don't get me wrong, PEDs work, peptides work, absolutely. But they work to a very minimal degree if all those other basics are not nailed down. When you do nail down the basics and add those things in, now you're fucking cooking. That is where the real results fucking come. But if you're not doing that, you are leaving so much potential and results on the fucking table. Like, you don't need anywhere near as much gear as you think you do to get big. That's for fucking sure. If you're a bodybuilder or a bodybuilder starting out, you definitely don't need that much. You just need to get good at nailing the basics. And as you get better at nailing the basics, watch how fucking fast the results come. Regardless, if you then, decide to push to the next level, sure, more PEDs will help, more peptides will help, but it is not the be all and end all of your progress. I fucking promise you that. There's been many times where I've had clients come to me on astronomical fucking cycles that I've never done, that I don't even know pros have done, and they look like fucking garbage. Explain that. The PEDs aren't doing the fucking magic, are they? No. It is nailing all of those basics in conjunction with a properly set up cycle, properly set up protocol. That is what gets you results, not all the other bullshit. I fucking promise. I promise. Yeah, that is pretty much all of the questions there. A bit of a 25 minutes already. I kind of went to town on some of those questions. I think that was like 10-ish kind of questions there. So I feel like that is relatively good and a bit of a yap sesh. So yeah, that is going to conclude today's video. I'm going to get back on the vlogging style content relatively soon. I do move into a new place next week with my missus, so that is going to be fun as fuck. I might do a little vlog, might not, we'll see. But I'm definitely going to start doing some more on this whole journey from, classic guy to fucking open competitor over the next 12 to 18 months. So I am super, super fucking keen for what's to come. But that is going to be all for this video. Thank you all very much if you made it this far into the video. I'm going to leave it at that, and I will see you in the next video.